This morning, Somi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What they call that sound that you made in that song again?
The sound that I made in the song?
The click. That click sound. What's it called?
That's a consonant in the Xhosa language of South Africa.
Xhosa language. Can you make the sound?
I'm not the Xhosa. That's what Miriam Makeba originally was. So.
Yeah, yes. Because I remember that particular song from her. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, the last time I checked, I was fine, and that was just a second ago, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Tell us, what drove you into vocal jazz? I said it at the beginning that this is the kind of music they should be playing in psychiatric hospitals. They should calm down when they hear this kind of song. But what drove you in? Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I think that people always, especially at home on the continent, I'm originally East African. I'm from Rwanda and Uganda. To all the East Africans who might be tuning in, I think that oftentimes here on the continent in Africa, we have a tendency to think of jazz as only slow music. That particular song, yes, is down tempo because you think about Mama Miriam's original song, and I wanted to kind of make it my own. But what brought me to jazz is my interest in freedom. You think about jazz, you think about improvisational music, you think about a certain type of musicianship, a certain standard. And so I'm interested in the rigor of that musicianship and the freedom that comes from that improvisation, both on stage and hopefully within the hearts of the audiences.
You are interested in the rigor that comes from it. That's admirable. Yeah. Some people just want to make money from music.
Well, I'm not one of those artists, I guess. Of course, that's always the goal, and that's always helpful because we need money to live and to live well, which is something that I like to do. But I also would say that, art, more than anything, it doesn't matter if you're talking about somebody who's made it in a commercial way or not. I think that art has to be true. And so hopefully people are, at least I feel like I choose to make art and music because I'm interested in the pursuit of truth.
So is the money coming yet?
The money is here.
You're not interested in it, but it's coming anyway.
No. I mean, I'm grateful to have had the blessings that I've been able to have to date. And I've most of my career, I'm trying to do more and more here on the continent. But I am doing well, in the States and in Europe, and I'm grateful for these opportunities to touch the ground, as they say, and bring the work home.
So welcome to Nigeria. We understand you're in Nigeria for the Fabric of Courage exhibition.
Yes.
What's that about?
Sure. Well, firstly, just to say that Nigeria has always been a sort of second home. I spent about 2 years here. I was teaching in Ilorin at the university there.
Okay.
And many years ago, and I made an album inspired by Lagos called the Lagos Music Salon at that time, which was hugely pivotal in my career. And I think that's why it's important for me to continue to come back. So the Fabric of Courage is about Festac 77. It's a multidisciplinary art salon and exhibition honoring the history of the Second World Black and African Arts Festival that happened here in Lagos and Kaduna in 1977. It's the first of a series of events that I'm interested in doing across the continent in Pan-African, historic Pan-African sites of important cultural production. I didn't plan on starting here, but the more I looked at the archive, I've been researching Festac for the last year and a half. The more I looked at the archive, the more I realized there was so much that I didn't know, and I believe that many people don't know just because it did happen so long ago. And I think that there's definitely a need to create more visibility for that history, those archives, and the contribution of not only Nigeria, but also the people who gathered here at that time on the other side of Civil War, on the other side of independence. I think it's just such an important Pan-African event. And so I've invited Marilyn Nance, who is an American photographer who accompanied the American delegation to Festac in 1977 and documented their journey She has not been back to Lagos since 1977. She's just arrived this morning, and she'll be at the exhibition, and she's excited to be able to share this work. It came out in a book, 2022 in the United States, and it's done incredibly well and been received incredibly well. So I'm grateful to be one of the reasons that, one of the ways in which she could reconnect as well. I'll also be joined by my band who have traveled from New York to perform a set honoring the great Miriam Makeba, which is one of the song you heard earlier, one of her songs. And also Tam Fiofori, the legendary Nigerian photographer who has this legendary image of Festac called The Crowd that will also be on view. And one of the things I'm also very excited about is to have the Nigerian archive that is housed at the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization on Lagos Island. They have generously shared selections from their archive that will also be on display for the first time publicly. So I'm grateful to be able to bring this work here and to share my own work as not only as a musician, but as a producer and gatherer.
You know,
yeah.
This is quite admirable, I have to say. But why Festac?
Well, I mean, I think why not Festac, right? You think about...
It's 47 years ago. I mean, it's a very long time ago. That's why I'm asking. I don't even know. Well, anyway, answer the question. Why Festac? Why do you choose to research Festac?
I choose to research Festac because of the importance of that event. It was explicitly and inherently a Pan-African space. I think that we don't have enough of those sort of gatherings. And if you think about what, in 1977, obviously it was the height of Nigeria's oil boom and the infrastructure that was built, whether it was National Theatre or National Stadium or Federal Palace Hotel. There's so many things that were actually built, or Festac Town was an artist village meant to house the 15,000 Black artists from all over the world who gathered in Lagos. And I think there hasn't been enough. There's a lot of academic literature about Festac, but there hasn't been enough in the kind of popular space. Even now, when I've been researching, as I said, for the last year and a half, even when I've been to Festac Town, there are people who live there but don't understand the history of what that space is. There are people who might not know that National Theatre was built for it. There are people who might not know. I've come to know that it was the first nationally televised cultural event in Nigeria after the Civil War. And so to me, there's an importance. And then when you look at the people who were here, from Miriam Makeba to Stevie Wonder, to James Brown, to, Audre Lorde, Ama Ata Aidoo, and of course, the great Wole Soyinka was a part of it. Fela also was at some point, even though he left eventually, but he was a part of it. Also, King Sunny Ade. There's, a long list of not only Nigerian artists, African artists, Black artists from around the planet who came and gathered, and it's a kind of who's who. And I just feel like we don't talk about it enough. And by we, I just mean not only us as keepers of culture, but I think the world really doesn't recognize it in the way that you would a Woodstock in the United States, or these kind of major festival events that are seen as such an important moment in global cultural history, that Festac deserves its rightful place in that way. So this is just a way to invite people into that memory. It's and as I said, I'm interested in doing this at different sites across the continent. But Festac is the first one that I've started with. So
perhaps I'm actually very, very excited about the fact that you've decided that you want to be a cultural ambassador all by yourself. Many young people would rather, celebrate some other things that are cool and hip, So looking at culture, it's a lot more historical. What do we lose? Or what are the consequences of not giving attention to culture from your perspective and from what you've seen?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you for the words you just said. I don't know that I necessarily identify as a cultural ambassador, but I think all artists are, right? We're all ambassadors of some sort from whatever our experience or history, personal and collective histories might be. the danger of not lifting up this history, I mean, I think this is very much connected to the conversation around restitution, right? There's a whole discussion around cultural restitution in post-colonial contexts. You know, famously here in Nigeria, I would say the conversation around the Benin Mask, which interestingly was a logo for Festac 77. But the conversation around the return of the Benin masks from from England. And I know that they're supposed to be making their way back at some point, and and folks are figuring out what that is. And that's it's an important conversation to have around the visual arts, around historical, long-standing mediums of cultural production, right? That have always been here. I think that when you think about the performing arts in the African context, we don't really think about that history. We think about, oh, these are our traditions, our rights. But you don't think about how perhaps that was disrupted. And I actually think that the archive is something to reconstitute. It is something to honor, to celebrate. And I think that is a way of, in some way, if we are able to reconstitute the archive, it's a way of reconstituting ourselves. It's a way of addressing this issue of restitution or cultural violence that we all sustained during periods of colonialism, because I think that all of those sort of things have suffered. So that's the danger of looking away, not really honoring and caring for and celebrating the archive. And so this event, I'm talking about it in these kind of maybe grandiose ways or academic ways even, but I think that it's a small effort to, I'm hoping it's a big success, of course, and that many people come to see it. But it's a drop in the water of this ocean of information and archival wealth of knowledge that is available to all of us. This is our history as African people. So I invite everybody to come. It's at the Printing Press in Lagos Island, and which is also a site that is obviously rich with its own histories of cultural narratives and production.
What should we expect to see at this exhibition?
Well, you're going to see large-scale images from Marilyn Nance's book, Last Day in Lagos. It's technically her official book launch in Nigeria as well. You're going to see the image I mentioned of the legendary Nigerian photographer Tam Fiofori of opening ceremonies at Festac 77 in Tafawa Balewa Square. You're going to see a video installation that I've made also that honors particular historic sites of Festac here in Lagos. You're also going to be able to listen to a beautiful soundscape that was made by our brothers and sisters in South Africa, an organization called Chimurenga, who have been working on Festac for many, many years, did a seminal anthology of articles from Festac that came out a few years ago. And they've created a soundscape that is conversations and music that you can listen to while you're in the space or when you leave the space to sustain that kind of meditation on the importance of that event.
So very, very interesting. The fact that you took on this assignment, so to speak, of researching Miriam Makeba simply because I beg your pardon, of researching Festac 77 simply because you wanted to do something from Miriam Makeba. But, let's leave that. Tell us, when is this event happening and where? These exhibitions.
Yes, so it's open. The public opening is April 8th, this coming Monday. It will run through Sunday, April 14th. It's at the Old Printing Press on Broad Street, Lagos Island. And it'll be open from, I believe, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Okay. And it's free. So people can come by and hopefully engage with the art. And, it feels very special. And I can't take all of the credit. There's so many people who here in Lagos who have agreed to support not only the partners, from the Center for Black and African Art and Civilization here, the Federal Archive of Festac, but also the African Artists Foundation, Chimurenga, Center for Art and Alliances in New York, the Africa Center in New York. So many folks have really been supportive. Also, the action people who are in in the weeds of the event as we're here speaking. So thank you so much to everybody for that. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about the event. I hope to see you.
What is your connection with Salon Africana?
I'm the founder and artistic director of Salon Africana. So I've mostly been doing events in the States. It's also, besides being a boutique cultural agency, it's also a record label. So I've released music through Salon Africana over the last 4 years now, but also prior to that, mostly I was focused on inviting musicians and writers from the African continent to New York to just give them more visibility in the New York market and in the US.
So tell us about your music. What should we expect from you within the shortest, midterm, and longest possible time?
Yeah, so I've been working on a new album, and hopefully that'll be out in the I guess I talk about it as the fall, but by September of this year, I'll have a new release, but I'll have some singles that will come out before that. I've just wrapped a European tour literally a week ago, and I'll be touring, throughout the year until the release of that new record as well. So, but I'll definitely, hopefully be able to come back and share that new music with you at that time.
How big are you on collaborations? I don't know if that's something that you also do. Seeing that you're a vocal jazz artist, how big are you on collaborations?
I've collaborated a number of times. I mean, I would say I would encourage folks to, when they look for my music, Somi, S-O-M-I, the African Somi, not the Korean one, that they take note. They'll see the range of collaborators I've worked with.
And how was that experience?
It was wonderful. It's wonderful. It's always a beautiful thing to be able to collaborate with fellow artists, and we learn from each other. We find a new way of expressing ourselves, and I think it's great. I think it's wonderful when you see that. And so I'm fortunate to have collaborated, ongoing with various artists.
Somi, also known as Somi Kakoma, Grammy-nominated vocal jazz album. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and all we can wish you is the best. And as you said, when next you have something to celebrate, just knock on the door. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
And you too.
Bye.
Well, apparently, it seems that we're breaking you into new things these days. Breaking you into a brand new set. And she's sitting in the throne right now. And we've broken you into the rap. And we brought you the rap of the rap when it ended. That's been Sunrise this morning. It's been a great pleasure having you, and we hope. And thank you for participating, sending those emails and texts on X. I don't know if we should still call it tweet. Okay. Anyway.
The tweets that came in on X.
Tweet. Is this still a bird?
Especially, no, it's not a bird anymore.
Exactly. So
it's an X.
Only birds.
Okay. Thank you for sending in the X's on X.
X. Okay.
Especially on the electricity price hike.
Your first. Okay. Yeah. Okay, they are posts, not tweets.
Okay. The posts on X.
Posts on X.
Thank you very much.
That's the show. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. I'm Makinde. Do have a wonderful rest of it.
And I'm Alero, wishing you all the best and saying to you, we'll be here next weekend, Saturday, same time. I hope you will be there too.